Good evening, San Bernardino. I hope you guys are having a great evening and a wonderful week thus far. So tonight we are going to do our agenda review for our upcoming meeting, and we got some big stuff-ish to talk about. So let me make sure that we are live and everybody can join in the conversation. Yay. Okay, cool. So there are a couple items to go over. It's actually like a short agenda, but there are a couple of good ticket items. And so we are going to jump in, and I will post a recording of this to Instagram and YouTube for all of you that can't make it live. But please post your comments and good stuff, and we'll get back to you. Okay, so here we go. All right, so we have closed session and it begins at 4 p.m. And if there's anything on the closed session that you would like to speak to, you definitely can. We are having a continuation of the discussion with conference with our labor negotiator. As you guys know, we're coming to the end of bargaining season and preparing for our new labor agreements. And so that's what's been going on. And then we have our conference with legal counsel for significant exposure litigation, and there is one case, and no name is listed, so there's no information that we can cover on that one. So that's what's going on in closed session. And then at 5 p.m., we will begin open session, and we'll have the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance. If we make any decisions that go to a vote, there will be a closed session report. And then we will move into presentations. So we have a proclamation for Park and Recreation Month in the city of San Bernardino for the month of July. Yay, Park and Recreation. So that'll be that. And then we have a public hearing. So I know some of you were like, hey, I'm gonna jump on. So what I'll do is we'll discuss the rate increases for trash at the very end, which won't be long, but that'll be the last thing I cover. So we will cover the trash increases, and we will cover what that means and all of the information. So we'll come back to this. Okay. Hi, Keith. Thanks for watching. Okay. So after that, well, let me get back to that. I'm sorry. Okay. So we'll have the city manager update. Then we will have public comments for items on the agenda and off the agenda. So if there's anything besides the public hearing, you can comment on it for any other items that you want to. So the public hearing if you want to talk about the trash rates, the public hearing is where you can do that. So don't worry about that. I know there's other stuff you guys want to talk about. So, okay, here we go. Consent calendar. So these are items that don't have discussions behind them. So you have the approval of various council meetings. So May 23rd, August 23rd, October 23rd, and November of 2023. We will be approving those minutes. And then item number 4 is for the city to join the California Community Housing Agency Middle Income Rental Housing Program. So there is different opportunities throughout the city for us to enter into a exercise joint power agreement so that the city can work in and around the building of affordable or workforce housing. And so this is what this is about. And there's a possibility of an upcoming project opportunity that would be good for the city. And so for those of you that are excited about this and saw this, yes, this is here. And it one of the main focuses of the city is pulling us back into a good position for housing and making sure that we meet our numbers. So that is number 4. And then a resolution updating the banking and investment account signature authorities. So you guys know that this is something we do often, make sure that we have access to our accounts. And then we are authorizing a vendor service agreement with DM&G Construction and Engineering Services for the installation of guardrails around the city in the amount of $193,560. So wherever they're needed, Public Works and Engineering has identified the areas, and so you will be seeing guardrails come up around the city. Then you have authorized a cooperative agreement with the city of Colton for a traffic signal design and construction for Hunts Lane and Harwick Drive. So in the amount of $385,000 in the third ward. So that's down where I used to live, down in South Point. And I know this has been a conversation for that area for quite a while. So this is really good to see joint opportunities for traffic and safety. Then we have accept a highway safety improvement program for Cycle 12 grant East Street median in the amount of $3,152,700. So this is to address the ugly yellow cones, basically, that are up and down East Street. And one of the requirements of putting in the SBX in the line was to create a median, kind of like what you see down on Hospitality Lane. And so this is what the funding is for. And I know we are quite a few years outside of the original, implementation of the SBX line, but we are still gradually over time still finishing up project requirements. And so that is what this is about. And I know some of you had asked about being able to redesign and reposition the SBX line. And I've asked, and we are under grant requirements. We are under project stipulations for how this was originally approved. And so right now, and for the foreseeable future, there are very limited abilities for the city to do anything outside of what we had originally agreed to. So you will see a $3.1 million investment in the center median, and hopefully that will make East Street look better. And, over time, the goal of that original bus line was also around building housing and multi-use and transit-oriented housing. So I know it's hard to see right now a 20-year plan ahead of time, but eventually that line is supposed to be filled with people who live up and down East Street. So this is coming, and at least, we will get rid of the ugly yellow cones. So great questions today. All right, then there is a discussion for the approval of the annual renewal of the city's risk management insurance policies in the amount of $3,337,089. And so, as you guys know, this is excess general liability insurance, workers' compensation, crime insurance, and cyber insurance. So, the city is covered. And there will be a discussion, and the Director of Human Resources, as well as the vendor for these services, will be providing an update. And then we have 2 items to be considered for future meetings you guys were asking about. So if you guys remember, in about 3 years ago, the mayor was with Assemblymember James Ramos up in Sacramento and was advocating for the expanded use of Patton State Hospital campus area. And the assembly approved the additional use. So with that came an opportunity for a nonprofit to be awarded the use of Patton. And that has been a local nonprofit, our city's local nonprofit program, family assistance program. And wonderful organization that is trying to move forward with what they've been granted to do. And so all this is for the city of San Bernardino, for us to take a proactive step and say, hey, we'd like to be a part of the discussion. It doesn't commit the city to anything, but it does allow us to be at the table for whatever may come our way. And so I'm really excited. I'm very thankful for all of the efforts of the mayor the last 3 years, for Assemblymember James Ramos, and for all the wonderful work that the Family Assistance Program does for within the city of San Bernardino and throughout the region. So very, very excited. And this is separate from the Navigation Center, but just another opportunity for this for the council to combat homelessness. So that's all that is. And then Councilman Sanchez has the strategic planning, goal setting, and team building sessions for that to be able to come forward. So that is another important thing that we need to be doing as we move forward as a council and as a city. So those are those things. Let's see. Good afternoon, Councilwoman Kimberly Calvin. And will the update regarding risk management coverage discuss the lawsuits created by council? It should. Remember that all liability created within and throughout the city is on our shoulders. So, yeah, and I believe it's in the report, is that the elevated exposure to liability that the city experiences does have a deep financial impact. So it would be great if we stop getting ourselves sued for not doing the right thing. So thank you. Great question. Great question. Okay, so let's talk trash rates increases and public hearings. So let's see real quick. What about previous strategic plans already adopted? So the council wants to start over strategic plans and move in a different direction. So yeah, anything that was previously adopted or strategic goals are not being discussed. These would be a new start over every 2 years, like the city likes to do. Okay, so trash rate increases. Here we go. This is a public hearing. You guys should have all received your notices about 60 days ago in the mail. If you haven't, well, now here we are. But everything was correct. The address was correct. The information was correct. And we have received some notifications from the public in opposition to this. So I know that this all went out. But I do want to talk about it because I've received really good questions about it, and I think this is great for us to cover. So we're going to conduct a public hearing to receive comments on the proposed maximum permitted service rates for integrated waste and solid waste collection, and then determine if written protests have been received from owners and tenants with parcels that are subject to the maximum permitted service rates, and whether a majority protest has been received. So, notices go out because you have to notify people, no taxation without representation. So everybody gets notified. 51% have to respond in opposition for there to be a majority protest. Okay. If there is no majority protest, then the council will adopt the resolution of the mayor and city council for the city of San Bernardino establishing the maximum permitted service rates for integrated waste processing and disposal. Okay. So let's go over this because this is really important. We've done it before, but it's a new year and it's a new you. So, and I'm a new council person. So here we go. All right. So the city of San Bernardino has an exclusive franchise agreement with Burtech to provide solid waste and organic collection and the processing of services to all residential, commercial, and industrial businesses within the city and throughout automated carts, front-loaded bins, roll-offs. So with this franchise agreement, Burtech may request periodic rate increases to cover the cost of providing solid waste collection and processing services. The proposed rate increase that is being asked for this year that will affect every resident is $1.33 increase per residence. The CIP portion is 2.61% or roughly 69 cents, while the remaining 2.39% is 63 cents per single family residential account. This would raise the residential rate that you're currently paying, if you're a resident living in a house, you're currently paying $26.42, and this will raise your rate to $27.75 per month. So you will be increased in your trash rate $1.33 a month. So that is, make sure I'm just going to do it off the top of my head. $15.96 for the year if you're going on 12 months. So it's roughly a $16 a year increase, $1.33 per month increase. So that's what this current raise is. Under Prop 218, notices for the public hearing went out and were mailed to everybody. And okay, so here's the fun thing about this. And I see my Commissioner Mike Hartley's statement, and some of you have reached out about this. So Mike says, as a senior citizen, I could take out the trash every month now. I think seniors should get a better discount. As a single family, as a single person in a single home, the trash is reduced. I could take my trash out one time a month. I agree with you. Here's the thing about this rate increase versus the negotiation portion of things. So the franchise agreement for solid waste services was initially from April of 2016 through March of next year. March 31st of next year. Okay? And that meant that we could have gone out for bid. We could have gone out and negotiated, or we could have done all our stuff. Okay? But if you guys remember, last year, on July 3rd of 2024, the previous majority of the council voted to adopt a third amendment to the franchise agreement and extend the contract till March 31st of 2031. Okay? So that right there is why we're not discussing and negotiating anything but the increase. That was already previously established. We've got Burtech, we're here. We're not in the contract negotiation phase. Now, what they were able to do is discuss rates. So Burtech has provided the city with the 25-26 proposed solid waste adjustments. So Burtech is entitled to a 2.61 CPI adjustment for residential customers. Due to increased costs for materials and fuels, Burtech has requested an additional increase of 2.39 to recover a small portion of the overall SB 1383 residential program costs. Okay, so the whole thing, as Damon should cap between 5 to 7%. So the total proposed rate increase for the $1.33 per household is 5.03%. So I hope, like, I'm trying to like go as slow and break this down as possible because I want everybody to understand. So again, this increases the rate of residential fees from $26.42 to $27.75 per month. Okay. So it's important to note that the city of San Bernardino has the lowest rates in the region for trash, and that cities such as Los Angeles and San Diego are proposing monthly residential rate increases above $50 a month. Ugh, it's a lot. So let's look at the attachment. Oh, no, let's look at the financial impact. So someone had asked, like, what do we get out of this? So there is an anticipated increase in revenues to the general fund if the rate increase is adopted. So right now, the city receives roughly $10,763,500 in franchise fees from our contract with Burtech. So we would receive from this rate increase a projected increase of about 5% of that. So while you are paying more, roughly 5% more will be given back to the city. Okay, here we go. Let's look at the background, because someone was like, well, what do we pay versus what everybody else pays? So, or do you know what? Let me give you guys a little background. Let's not rush. I'm sorry. Because here we go. All right, so in February of 2023, a public hearing regarding solid rate increases and resolution rates for services approving a third contract franchise agreement was held May 17th. There was another public hearing in 2023. And then in June of 2023, there was a continuation to July for a public hearing regarding solid waste increases. And then that went to another continuation to September. So a lot of this was put off until 2024. So if you guys remember, there wasn't a rate increase. It was pushed as they were beginning to do the studies on the green waste. So then they canceled the January 17th meeting. And then in July of 2024, they agreed to the third amendment. So that's kind of why we're here now. All right, let's look at the backup material. Okay, all right. So for those that were asking the rates, so the current rates, you have $26.42, and that would raise us up to $27.75, which is a 5% increase this year. Then you have, so in comparison, so in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, they are paying $33.44. They're going to have an increase to $34.93, so they're above us. Highland pays $33.95. They're going to go up to $34.84, so they are higher than us. Rialto pays $34.55, and they're going to $36.56, a 5.82%. Grand Terrace pays $35.58, and they are actually going to see a decrease of 2.42% to be at $34.72. Fontana is at $36.15 a month, and they're going up 4% to $37.63. You have Burtech and Upland, and they pay $38.09 a month, and they are going to $39.54 a month at 3.81%. Montclair currently pays $38.71, and they're going up to $39.91, a 3.10% increase. The county uses Burtech. They are at $40.28 a month. They will be going up to $41.29 with a 2.51% increase. Yucaipa, that uses Burtech, is at $42.23, and they are going up 1.89% to $43.03 a month. So we do have the lowest rates, and everybody with the exception of Grand Terrace is seeing an increase as well. The average cost for all jurisdictions, including other ones that don't use Burtech, for the average cost of waste is $37.07 a month. So that puts San Bernardino roughly $10 a month below average. So for those that were asking, I hope that helped. And then this was the notice that went out notifying everybody that we were going to have this public hearing. So it would go to the home of service. And again, the proposed 2.61% increase for a total rate of 5% due to increased costs. And then here on the notice shows the $1.33. So let me show you here. So residential barrel is an increase of $1.33. Residential 35-gallon barrel is $1.17. Residential 35-gallon barrel service is $1.05 increase. Mobile home 3-barrel service 89-cent increase. Complex barrel 89-cent increase, and then commercial barrel would go to $1.19. So I hope this kind of explains it. And you still have the opportunity to come and discuss, but I mean the rate increases are built in and a part of the contract. So as you guys know, I am always a proponent of RFPs, and I had wished that we would go out and always be a competitive bidder on our services. Like I do have great service with Bird. I don't have any complaints, but again, it's not for an entity to have carte blanche in services in any portion of it. So when the time comes, or when it comes in 3031, if I'm around at that point, I think this is definitely, as you guys say, senior discounts. But they did go back earlier this year and discuss, the rates, and Vertec did come down and came to the $1.33. So for others that have asked as well, I have never taken a dime from Vertec as a political contribution. I didn't speak to anybody from Vertec regarding the rate increases. So my vote tomorrow is just based on my own observations and really what our obligation is contractually. But I can't speak for any other elected official. But yeah, so that was the other question I had received. So, all right, guys, I appreciate you all watching tonight. Definitely check this out. What I just covered is in the agenda backup material, so read through it. It's pretty standard. I do appreciate the breakdown, but I know that some people had talked about it going up to like $50, and maybe that is where you had misread it, but it's a $1.33 increase per month, roughly $16 increase per year for trash rate with Vertec. And so, all right, I appreciate you all, and keep being engaged, keep being educated and empowered. So thank you guys. I will see you next agenda review.